A championship season begins with a choice, the decision to pursue your individual and collective best. That choice is followed by hundreds, if not thousands, of additional choices each and every day. You may never play in a championship game or earn a championship trophy. There may not be confetti at the end of your season every year in life, but there is a sense of fulfillment, or not. And there are indeed fans, our fans in life, that are celebrating our championship seasons, or not. If we are to pursue a championship season in our own lives, we must make the choice. Most importantly, we choose to serve, to sacrifice, to forgive all those we encounter. Or we take from others, we demand from others, we judge others, and resent those that do us wrong. It's easy to make the choice to pursue best, to build a championship season. Life's greatest challenge is to make the thousands of choices that lead to that outcome. Today, we visit Athens, Georgia, a city of champions, to meet with a champion. While he may not have won a championship title while he played for the Dogs, he wins one every year in his personal and professional life because he makes the best choices every single day. Rennie Curran, welcome to Personal and Professional Best.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, bro.
Big day today, the day after the championship, 65-7. Yeah. I think they just scored again too, Rennie.
Oh, man. Yeah, they probably did. Yeah.
Anyway, you know, because we've been knowing each other for a while, you know I'm a big fan of Georgia. I'm a big fan of Alabama as well.
Right.
But mostly, I'm a fan of best. And when I see it, I know it, and I want it for myself, and I want it as a leader for everyone in my family, and I want it for everyone in my organization. So that's what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about best, because everybody that I know wants to be their personal, professional best. Unfortunately, while most people want it, most people don't get it. So let's talk about you a little bit. Just recap of the Rennie Curran story, right?
Sure.
4-star coming out of high school right here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Winds up going to the University of Georgia, right? So you're a dog. You wind up joining the Dogs.
Yeah.
And then you're a 3-time All-American at Georgia. And then you go into the NFL, and so you play professionally. And then that season comes to an end. And now you're a motivational coach, author. I mean, you're just back doing your thing again, that best thing again, which is you've been the best since anyone has gotten a chance to know you. So let's get down to business if we could, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to start out asking you a question about probably the most famous guy in Georgia right now. This little Stetson Bennett guy. 2 stars. And for the audience, 5 stars tells us that they have really top-level talent.
Right.
2 stars doesn't get you to the University of Georgia.
Nowhere close.
But now history was made, and he's the centerpiece of it, which is really informative for all of us that are here today, because not all of us are 5 stars in talent. But he wound up originally walking on at Georgia because he had a goal, right? And then he left to go to junior college so he'd get a chance to get on the field, came back to Georgia, and then everybody got in front of him. And even last year, me and you met with him last year.
Yeah.
When they put him in, the Georgia fans were kind of calling for him not to be in there. Tell me how this happened. How does a 2-star like Stetson Bennett turn out to be a legend at the University of Georgia?
So, man, going back to what you said about my story, you listed out the different accomplishments. People are going to list out Stetson's accomplishments, but we all know that, man, that there's always more to the story. There's the things that you see at the surface level. There's things that you see that as far as the end result. But then there's so many days and so many nights where you hear the no's, where you face, adversity, you face objection, you hear a million times that you're too short. And I guarantee you Stetson has that story. And he's going to be telling that story a lot more than he's going to be telling this story about winning the national championship, because that is the real story. That is my real story. For me, I didn't come from money. I was labeled undersized. I was doubted. I earned every single one of those stars. So, I made my junior year 198 tackles, right? My junior year. left high school.
You tackled everybody.
I had to. I had to hit every.
Did you tackle your own guys too on the sidelines?
Sometimes they're in the way, they're going to get hit. So it really takes, man, a ridiculous work ethic, man, and a ridiculous belief in yourself before anybody else does. And so if I'm looking at Stetson Bennett, which I identify completely with this story, and obviously I didn't go to any Heisman's or national championship, but just the fact that you're that underdog when you're coming in. You're not the guy that when you walk in, the coach is like, oh, here you go. No, you're on a scout team, and you got to like go out there, and you just got to go by faith every single day. You got to put in that extra work in the film room and the weight room, and you're still not getting noticed. But something in you just tells you to keep going. And that, man, I believe that comes from home. It starts with your foundation. You got to have a different level of faith. You have to have a different level of confidence. You have to have a different level of, just persistence and just, self-accountability. Because nobody, when your coaches are coming and coaching you, sometimes you get down on yourself. But so you have to find something in yourself to say, man, I'm going to operate at this standard, even if nobody else is challenging me, even if nobody else is believing in me, even if I'm not the starter, right? It's just that mentality that you have to have. And so I completely identify with it, man. And when I look at Stetson, once again, I just think about the fact that, man, when we look at these rankings and we look at these stars, and even in society, you look at these titles and whatnot, there's certain things you can't measure, right? You can't measure
what's in the heart.
Can't measure this, yeah. You can't measure the heart. You can't measure somebody's mentality. You can't measure will. You can't measure persistence. You can't measure humility. You can't measure coachability. And all those things is what makes the difference. That's what has made him now who he is and has gotten him to this level. And I hope that he continues on with this, because now he's here. So just like, that adversity may have, put that chip on his shoulder to challenge him to get to that next level, success can almost be an enemy if you don't maintain that same mindset, right?
Yep.
It can do the opposite. So we were talking about that last night, man. I hope that he can handle this success as much as he handled the adversity.
Because humility is what's necessary today, because it's what got him there, right? It's the willingness to listen to the critique, listen to the feedback, listen to the naysay, and still do the work and still believe in yourself.
That's it.
One of the great quotes from Coach Saban, who last night I could see in his eyes and his face, because he was one of the analysts last night, and you could see how proud he was of Kirby Smart and the work that Kirby's now doing, who is the new big dog.
Oh, man, yeah.
Got to say it. I don't care if you're an Alabama fan or not. You just got to call it the way it is. But one of his great quotes is, everybody wants to be the beast, but not everybody wants to do what the beast does. And as I talked with you in the past about, you and Stetson a lot in common. Yeah. You wanted to be a bulldog.
Yeah.
And you knew you'd have to do what the beasts do when you were at Brookwood to be able to grow up, to be able to get the 4-star, to be able to go.
Right.
And Stetson, different journey, but he wanted to be the quarterback at the University of Georgia.
Yeah.
And I think what's informative for our audience today is just that, we've got to have a specific goal in mind.
Right.
You had to be a Bulldog, and then once you got there, it was to be an All-American at the University of Georgia, and then it was to be a pro. So you're constantly evolving these things each year as we're trying to build championship seasons in our lives.
Yeah.
But the stars, they matter, but what really matters is doing the work and getting on the grind every single day. I find for most people, they want it, they just don't want to do what it takes to get it.
Yeah.
And so when I was watching when Stetson played last night, what people in the audience don't know, and I'm hoping you'll help us with this, right?
Yeah.
So college game's on Saturday.
Right.
Walk us through the life when you're doing it right. What does it look like during the week? Because listen, we all got a week to work next week, right?
Yeah.
And so what did he do? What do the Bulldogs do? What did you do when you were there? What did you do during the course of the week?
Oh, man. So I'll put it to you this way. The game that you watched yesterday, that championship win, the celebration, that win was really created right after that Ohio State game, the day after. And I guarantee you, and it may not even been the day after, I guarantee you when they were on the plane coming home, they already had their laptops out or their iPads or whatever, and they were already breaking down that film and seeing where they went wrong, seeing how can we make these incremental gains and improvements. seeing, okay, we did this, we made this call wrong here. And by the time they hit Monday, it was already game time. They were already perfecting their craft. They were already working on, like I said, making those improvements that led to that result. So when it comes to our life, man, it's like, regardless of what happens, regardless of what mistakes we make, regardless of the successes that we have, do we have that same approach where we're winning? I call it winning the game before the game. Long before the game, long before any results or finished products, are we taking that same approach to where, man, we're breaking down every single thing? We're looking at, man, what did I do wrong? It's not about pointing the blame. It's not about saying who did wrong. Nah, that's gone. That mistake has been made. So what are you going to do now to propel yourself and make yourself better? And so Monday we start, man, we're breaking down. If you're on defense, you're breaking down first and second downs. You know, Tuesday, now you're looking at what are they doing on third and fourth down. You're understanding your opponent after breaking down yourself. And then Wednesday progresses, right? Now you're looking at special teams, you're looking at red zone. So every single part of your game, and in life, that means every area of your life. You're breaking that thing down and you're looking at, okay, finances, mentally, spiritually, physically, how can I improve? And so when you add those things up, man, and you do that week in and week out, it's gonna lead to greatness.
Hey, Rennie,
Yeah.
what does it mean to be a champion?
So to me, man, a champion is someone, man, who defies all odds. So against all adversity, against all opposition, they continue to maintain a certain standard. So a champion has a certain level of belief. They have a certain level of accountability, a certain level of teamwork and camaraderie. Champions they get it done.
To be a champion,
It means you're the best.
it means good teamwork, great coaching.
Yeah.
A champion is all about dedication and like you're supporting your teammates. I feel like, I mean, it's not all about the game. It's about what happens outside the game that really makes you a champion. So I feel like Stetson Bennett, he's a good champion, you know?
To be a champion is to be the best.
To be a champion means to always feel like you're a winner, also known as being a Georgia fan.
Yeah, so you know what? We all have 24 hours in a day.
Right.
And we all have the same number of hours in a week.
Right.
Right? What I find is that most people, they see the game and then they go back to their game called life.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't realize that you get up early as a player,
Right.
you eat a certain diet, you work out, you go through process to heal your body,
Definitely.
you go watch film. Your coach tells you what you're not doing right,
Yeah,
right?
you
Like
got
the
a coach.
leader in your business is
Yeah,
telling you,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
Rennie, you got to do this, or Stetson, you got to do that differently, better in order to improve. And by the way, you need to make sure you're in bed by a certain time tonight, right?
Definitely,
Getting
definitely.
sleep. And what's interesting is all the fans, they want all their favorite players to do all of this,
Right.
and we want our teams to do all of this. And then the question is, when we look in the mirror, are we doing all
Yeah.
of these things, right? That are
Exactly.
necessary for us to really be the beast and really be the best version of ourselves. I want to ask you a couple questions. We have this on the back of our wall in our office. We have complacency is the enemy of best.
Yeah.
And then underneath it, it's complaining is the arch enemy of best. You think Stetson Bennett has been complacent at all?
Never. I mean, he's never had the opportunity to be complacent at all. When you're at University of Georgia, especially right now, where Kirby has created this culture of being elite, every single week these guys are competing. I mean, you got 5 stars coming in every single week. They're competing. Even the scout team player is one of the best, Gunnar Stockton.
Yep.
Right? So you have no room for complacency. You have no room to get comfortable. And, that's such a powerful lesson and something that I've taken with me from the game, man. It's just the fact that, man, every single day, whether it's in business, as a father, just in every area of my life, man, just knowing that I can't get comfortable, because life is going to hit. Challenges are going to come. So I have to be proactive. I have to make sure that I'm in the right mindset and building myself long before these challenges come. And it's the same thing with Stetson. When you look at his career and his progression, he's had to be on at all times, regardless of if he was scout team, regardless if he was being called off the bench. He had to be ready to go, because what I'm sure he realized, man, that I would rather be ready for an opportunity to never get one, right, than to get one and not be ready.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it starts all over for him again now, because the celebration will soon quiet.
Yeah.
Maybe not here in Athens, right? But as time goes on, the draft will come up next.
Yeah.
And he's got to start right away. Complacency's over because the NFL coaches, I mean, those that are going to draft.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, man, they're looking at, that's great that you did all of that,
Right.
but you got to get better starting today, right? So
Exactly.
you can't be complacent is the point. If you're pursuing best, you can't be. What about complaining? You think he ever sat around and complained?
I think, there's the realistic side of it where you do go out there, man, you're working extremely hard. You don't get rewarded when you want to. The coach doesn't acknowledge you. You don't get that position. And, that's
natural.
human. Yes, it's
natural.
human. It's natural to be like, man, dang, like I didn't even get a rep, right? I didn't even get a chance to show that I could compete. That's real. That's human. But not staying there, not staying in that mindset of complaining and focusing on the negative, like picking yourself up, whether it's a day or the next day, and say, all right, man, I'm putting my work hat back on. I'm just going to do the work. I'm just going to put it in. And what you mentioned before, just about not being willing to do what beasts do, part of that too is embracing what comes with being a beast. So embracing the fact that, man, you're going to hear those naysayers, embracing the fact that, man, you're going to sometimes be in a position where you're working hard and you're not seeing the results. Embracing the fact that, man, sometimes those fans aren't going to even believe that you have what it takes. You're going to hear, jokes, and you're going to have memes written about you. If you're not willing to put up with that, then you don't, in my opinion, you don't deserve to be in that position. Yep.
So 2023, we just rung it in with a champion, Georgia.
Yeah.
What does it look like to be a champion, Rennie Curran, in 2023?
So for me, man, being a champion, it starts with how I approach my daily activities, man, my routines, my mindset, my faith, all the little details of how I run my life, man, in every area of my life. Winning in those categories, man, that's what it looks like to be a champion.
I could say my senior year we were champions, my first year of grad school we were champions, and it was 40 years. I saw it firsthand. I can tell anybody I know after me. We were champions 40 years. My family was here, all my friends were here, and we saw us win firsthand, and that's something you can't say. I didn't watch it on TV. I was in Dog Nation.
For me, I faced last year. I lost a friend, but I'm still recovering, stuff like that. I'm still having a good time. Just know that he's upstairs safe and stuff. So I just feel like this is great for the community and stuff. That you just keep on pushing regardless of whatever happens, and that God got you. And Stetson Bennett, he's a man of God, and I just feel like it's all about God in the end.
It would look like being an immigration attorney. I want to do that pro bono, and then, I have a couple of properties. Retire my mama. If my mama see this, I'm gonna retire you, girl. And hopefully, also being a champion would look like my country, Tigray, which is in East Africa, would be free. We'll be our own independent nation. That's what it means to be a champion.
Tell me the difference between what the best did, that got the best out of themselves. What did they do, and what did the other folks who didn't get the best out of themselves do?
Right. The first thing I think about is consistency. So those who were the best, they were consistent. They were consistent in terms of their attitude. They're consistent in terms of their preparation. They're consistent in terms of how they showing up on time, doing things right. Those who had the ability to be the best, had the talent, had the potential, but didn't always meet the mark. Inconsistent in terms of their attitude, inconsistent in terms of their work ethic, and inconsistent in terms of their preparation. And so even though they had all this talent and ability, it's just like, for whatever reason, right? It might have been their personal life. It may have been they just, maybe they just needed a counselor or somebody to talk to, somebody extra on their team that could give them a little bit more support. For whatever reason, though, there was those inconsistencies, man, that led to ultimately them not being where they wanted to be. The second thing I would say when it came to those who didn't always navigate as the best or be their best, man, is they relied too much on their talent. They allowed their talent, to really substitute for their lack of character. Yeah. And you can't do that. Your talent, your abilities, your potential is only going to get you so far. And I hear it said all the time, like, your talent can get you to places where your character can't sustain it. Mm. Yeah, and so if you're not working on that, who you are, your values, your standard, your talent will get you up here, but eventually you're going to go back. It's like your character will almost be like a governor, where it's going to bring you back down. Eventually you're going to do something. So, yeah.
Well, consistency critical, right? Having a schedule. I don't care if it's as a family goes,
Yeah.
right? About how we take for our significant other, our spouses. You know, to be able to do date night or to be able to put the phone down so you can give some consistency into the relationship.
Yeah.
How you are consistent with your kids, and then, you know, in the workplace, exactly the same thing. I'm being consistent with your customers, with your teammates, and I love the character idea because, to the extent that you're going to have long-term success and find your way into the best version of yourself, your character will ultimately be the defining idea.
Yeah.
When I think about the Stetson Bennett, 40 years without a championship, it's absolutely fascinating that a two-star wound up being the catalyst for what happened. Now, did he do it by himself? Heck no. Kirby and so many other players. But he was, in my opinion, he was kind of the straw who stirred it, who called everybody to a higher standard because they knew he only had 2 stars, and yet he wound up, when he left, I bet if they regraded him, he wouldn't have 2 stars anymore because of the work that he did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
he did a lot. So adversity. There's 2 types in life, right? There's, I made a unwise, not best choice. And there's consequences. Adversity shows up because I made a not best choice.
Yeah.
The second kind of adversity is I didn't do anything other than what was right. I'm pursuing what's best in life, and yet there's adversity. In our business today, we have the biggest downturn in history. We didn't do anything to cause that, but in truth, if you're in the real estate business today or the mortgage banking business today, we've got adversity, and it's true in the life of an athlete. It's true in the teams. Georgia had some against Ohio State, some adversity, right? Tell us about a moment in Rennie's life when you faced off with some adversity, and tell us how you think about overcoming it.
So I would not be sitting here with you right now talking to you if I hadn't faced adversity. So let's go back to 2011. I'm coming off my first year in the NFL, and life is great. I'm able to help my family. I'm able to help my church. I'm able to, do all these things that I always dreamed about doing. Going to training camp, lockout had happened during that time. They brought a new coaching staff, leadership change, right? And so they draft new guys. They bring in one through free agency. So, that's when you watch an ESPN, you see the big guy who signed the contract. That they brought him in, extra linebacker. So ended up finishing, making it to the last cut, and I got cut. Sent back home. I'm back home for 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah, back home for 8 months, waiting on a phone call to come that I didn't know if it was ever going to come. And so at this time, I'm questioning. I'm going through those emotions. The negativity is starting to set in. Woe is me.
Uncertain about the future.
Yeah, uncertain
Don't know what's
about
going to
the
happen.
future.
Yeah.
I don't know who I am. I'm 22 years old.
Wow.
I'm just questioning everything. I'm asking God, like, why am I here?
Yeah.
What is going on? Am I ever going to play again? Like, all these questions just running through my mind. And who am I? I'm having a breakdown. Like, what skills do I have outside of this jersey, just in case I never get the opportunity to play again? And in this time, man, I had to really, really, really focus on my mindset, focus on my self-talk, focus on my inner thoughts and just my faith. And all those times, man, while all my guys I was training with, well, they were gone, and it was just me training 4 hours by myself. That's where I started to begin that inner work and start to really, really allow God to use me, man, and just change my perspective on that time. I started to look at that time not as something that was, bringing me down and destroying me, but actually as something that was building me. I looked at it as, instead of, man, I'm cut, I'm down. No, now I got time. I got time to set myself apart. Now I got time to read books. Now I got time to go to workshops. Now I have time to network and build relationships that I've never built before. Now I have time to acquire new knowledge. And it changed my entire life. And that is what has led me here today.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Pruning, which I would argue is adversity that God brings into our life.
Yeah.
Right? It takes something away from us. In this case, it was, you're playing professional football, and then all of a sudden, for the first time, you get told you're not going to be on the team, and you got 8 months and you're on your own. And God's investing in pruning you at that time.
Right.
And you realize that I'm not Rennie Curran, the football player. That's
Right.
what I was doing, but I'm Rennie Curran, the man, and I still have value. And I'll find a different place to put it. I'm so grateful that you did, and because I've been watching you with your new journey, if you will, your new professional career, and you're doing exactly what God put you on the planet to do, which is to inspire other people to find the best version of themselves in their own lives. Okay. Coaches, we're all, as parents, if we're a parent, we're a coach. Okay, so there's Coach Kirby Smart, Coach Nick Saban, the GOATs, right?
Yeah.
And then there's just us, parents. And then some of us in the workplace are actually coaches. I would argue that all of us are coaches in life outside of our kids, if we don't have kids, because we have a chance to influence our friends and family and otherwise. Who's the best coach that you ever had and why?
Man, I had best coaches. I can't really point to just one because I took something away from every great coach that I played with, man. Starting from my Little League coach.
Yep.
Somebody who, man, was like a second father to me, who showed me that he cared, man, and really, really stressed the importance of just those life lessons. And every time you would sit down with us, man, and our other coaches during that time, we're actually about to have a 20-something year reunion in March. Yeah, but every time you sit down with us, man, he would tell us just these life lessons that we were 10 years old, so we didn't fully
Had nothing to do with football.
Yeah, nothing to do with football.
Yeah.
Like, man, after a loss, he would say, man, now I want you guys to go and I want you to get in the bathroom, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and I want you to ask yourself, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be as a man?
I love it.
Like self-accountability at 10 years old, So there was him. There was my Coach Ricks, who's somebody who just...
Coach Mark Rick, one of the all-time greats. Yep.
Yeah, who just really showed me the importance of humility and just, that consistency and that faith, man, and being in a position where you're up here, you're that coach, you're that leader with a major organization, but you also have time to just connect with people and be a human being and still be approachable.
Right now, who are the biggest fans of Rennie Curran in your life that want you to perform your best in 2023?
So first and foremost, being a man of faith, I truly believe that God is my biggest fan, that he's always for me, that he's always rooting me on, that he's always expecting the best from me. And so that's where I'll start. And then beyond that, man, it's really that inner circle of people who love me no matter what. When I'm high, when I'm low, they're always there, man. My parents, my daughter, she's 14 now. And, I know that she's always rooting for me, that she's looking at me to be that role model.
A lovely sister, right there. My beautiful girlfriend, munching on the pizza.
I got pizza in my
And my mom and my dad, Missy and Daryl.
My dad, my mom, and stuff like that. I feel like my dad's my best friend. He's pushing me every single day, spoiling me, but it doesn't matter because I know the outcome's going to be great, and I feel like I'm just going to surprise him. And that's all that matters in the end, that you always just make the outcome that people are expecting you to make. And you just do good and make people proud. That's all that matters. Like my father, I'm going to make him mad, make him proud, stuff like that.
Cheer for me is my friends and my family and Jesus Christ. And I love Stetson and I love everyone.
My mama's rooting for me, my brother, my older brother, my sister, all my family who just came out here from Seattle. My cousins, Saba, Ruth, Elsa, all my homeboys. My cousins over here, Milena, Helena, they rooting for me. The whole world rooting for me. They just don't know about me yet.
So, let me ask you a question, because I think this is one of the things that people don't get right because they don't stop and ask themselves this question. What is your definition for success in life?
Great question, man. My definition for success in life is, number one, having holistic success, right? So success in every area of my life, like I don't want to just be known as Rennie Curran, the great football player, the great speaker, great author. No, I want to be known as Rennie Curran, the great father, Rennie Curran, the great husband.
Love it.
Yeah, holistic success. And then reaching the potential of who God has created you to be. That is my definition of success. And that doesn't mean that you got the world's version of success where, you're making 6, 7 figures. Everybody's so big on that now. If you're not making 7, 8 figures, you're not 6, 7. And I'm like, all right, man.
The majority of people that are going to fail, you're right, like almost 99.9% of the people are going to fail if that's the definition.
Yeah, I don't know how much time you spend on social media, but it's so much of that talk of, man, just do real estate, just invest in stocks.
Right, exactly. It's all about money, right?
Yeah,
about the pursuit of money.
7, 8 figures, like that's a big buzzword, man. And if you're not there, it's like you're not. It's like, nah. I'd rather, make 5 figures but have a great relationship with my daughter.
Yeah, you got to have a process in life for everything, because there is, as we talk about it all the time with best, personal, professional best, you have to have specific goals. You know, you have to have a game plan, a roadmap to get to that place, right? You're working on that process now. You simply have to do the work then. You got to do what the beasts do. You got to get out. And you need voices in your life, coaches that are willing to hold you accountable to the things that you want to be accountable. So to the extent that both of us want the same things, we want to be the best version of Rennie Curran that God made and Pat Flood that God made, we do. And I know the people in the audience, if you're really honest with yourself when you look in the mirror, you want to be the best version of yourself personally and professionally. And the good news is we all can if we make the choice to do it. Hey, Rennie, it's awesome hanging out with you. And by the way, one of the goals I was going to tell you that I had this year is to drink a lot less, and we're sitting in a bar here in Athens.
You ain't got a lot of memories in this bar.
Yeah, it's really quiet here, but our imagination tells me that tonight there'll be some additional celebrating going on here in Athens, because there certainly was a lot of celebrating last night. Hey, God bless you, brother. And
bless you as well.
Yeah, I hope you win a championship in 2023 as well.
You as well.
All right, brother.
All right, can I get a go dogs?
Go dogs.
Go Dogs! Go UGA! Go Dogs! Go Dogs, baby! Come on, go Dogs!
UGA fans have a lot to celebrate. 2 consecutive national championships and an opportunity to do what no other team has ever done this coming season: 3-peat. Loyal fans all want the best every year for their favorite players and for their favorite teams. We want the players and the team to make the best choices every day in every area of their lives, because we know that offers them the best chance to 3-peat and to win another championship. You know what? Our fans, your fans and mine, they want exactly the same thing for you and me. Our fans, parents, spouses, significant others, our children, our friends, our co-workers, and even our neighbors, they're all hoping, and some are even praying, that you and I, we make the best choices in our lives so we too can build a championship season in 2023. Make the choice. I have. You can join us on our journey to best in 2023 by going to gps.supremebest.com and completing your goals on Best GPS. As your fan, I hope and pray that you do. I also hope and pray that you join us monthly as we offer you inspiration and education that will serve to help you on your journey. If you make the best choice today and every day in 2023, we'll all celebrate a championship at the end of the 2023 season. Best is waiting. Meet you there.